You want to go big on the outright market first? That's Lucas Glover for me, 60-1. He's just a guy that he just won't go away. It feels like he's been on the tour forever. In fact, this is his 16th start at this event, dating back 20 years to 2005. He's had a mixed bag of results over that span. He does have 5 missed cuts, but he also has 6 top 20 finishes, including 2 in the top 4. Obviously, very few in this field are going to know this track better than him. Aside from his history, he's got a tied for third finish this season at Pebble Beach. He had a stellar fall with 2 more tied for third finishes at the Black Desert Championship and the Sanderson Farms. Glover does have 5 tour wins in his career. He won back-to-back events back in 2023. One of those was the first playoff event, so very tough field there. So it's been 18 months since his last win. But that's nothing for Glover. He went a span of 12 years without a win, but he's definitely playing more consistent golf this part of his career than he was early on. But he really fits the profile, Prez, of a winner here, and that's ball striking, which he's very elite at. He's only lost strokes off the tee 1 season. We're talking entire season metrics. 1 season since 2004 that he's lost strokes off the tee, and only 3 times on approach. He's just consistently good tee to green, and that's what this course is. This week is it's all about tee to green. It's not an easy course. It's pretty difficult. And the winners here tend to be the guys that just hit fairways and hit greens. And you're not making birdies in bunches, so it's not necessarily needed. So he ranks 11th in this field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 12 months and 6th in this field over the last 24 months. So I like Glover, 60-1 to make a run. If you feel like you need to, you can always back that up with a top 10 or a top 20 as well. But I think Lucas Glover is going to give us a sweat on Sunday. A nice matchup winner given out last week on the show. Hope to do it again here. Keith Mitchell, I think he's going to have a solid week, but really I'm just not a believer in Kitayama right now. He had a decent fall. He had 2 top 10s in October, but so far in 2025, 5 starts, 2 missed cuts, his best finish, a tie for 37th. Going back further, in 20 starts dating back to the Houston Open last March, so nearly a full year, he has 5 missed cuts, which isn't horrible, but he only has 5 top 25. So the other half of his entire starts, he's finishing commonly in like the 30s, 40s, even 50s range as far as placement goes. He did finish at 3rd in this event back in 2022, but Mitchell has much better success at this event and has a little bit better current form as well. Not only is Keith a past winner here in 2019, he's coming off back-to-back top 10 finishes at this event. He didn't play in 2023, but in 2022 and 24, he finished in the top 10. And then opposite of Kitayama, Mitchell, he didn't have a good fall, but he's really come alive here in this season. He's a perfect 4 for 4 in cuts made, and his worst finish is tied for 33rd. So in this, it's a small sample size, but in this season, Mitchell's worst start is better than any of Kitayama's events in his best start. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in your current form heading into this event. So Keith Mitchell, minus 110, I think is a good price for him just to win. And this is a 72-hole tournament matchup, so it's all 4 days, not just round 1.
Yeah, he's been an under player recently. I mean, the 76ers team is falling apart. Shout out to producer Dan, who at least has his Eagles to celebrate because it ain't the 76ers, but we're going to take his under 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Prez, he's gone under in 9 straight games, 4 straight games without Embiid. It looks like Embiid's going to be out probably for the rest of the season. My guess is they get him some much needed rest and surgery. He's shooting 41% from the field, 22% from threes. He's only getting 6.8 potential assists and 6.8 rebound chances. He's just not getting it done. I don't think the minutes are going to be there. And we gave this out as a free play the other day. It was 29.5. He's been so bad, the books lowered it to 26.5. So the books are telling us he's an under player. Take Paul George under. Let's take Sam Patterson plus 240 over Danny Barlow. Prez, this is your classic striker versus a grappler. And Sam Patterson is this really tall, lanky fighter. He came off a Contender Series. He got knocked out in his very first UFC fight. It was a brutal knockout. What did he do? He come back the next 2 fights, and he submitted guys. He submitted 2 guys in the first round. I think he can do that to Danny Barlow. Barlow is a good striker. I don't think he's amazing. He has this awesome nickname, the left hand of God, and he's got this amazing left hand. But last fight, he barely squeaked out a decision win. It was kind of low volume. Sam Patterson has 2 professional losses. They're both by KO. So that's the path to victory for Barlow. But if Patterson avoids a knockout and gets us on the ground, this is Patterson all day long. Impressed. The over-under on this fight is 1.5 rounds, and the under is juiced. They're telling you this is going to be a kill or be killed type of fight. Someone's getting finished. So I think Patterson at plus 240, when he's got the big advantage in submissions, is a really, really good look. If you want to add even more value to it, take Sam Patterson by submission, because I think that's how he pulls this off. But Sam Patterson plus 240 is an absolute deal at this line. So I'll take that one. And when we go to darts, there's a lot of plays that you could be looking at with darts. This is a tough week, but Michael Van Gerwen money line is minus 165. That's kind of on the border of, do you play that one by yourself or do you parlay it with? But Van Gerwen plays Rob Cross, who has been terrible, Prez. He's awful. He's 1-3 in the Premier League this season. And Van Gerwen has won every first match in all 3 nights of the Premier League, and then he's lost the next one. So you bet on him in the first round, and then you stay off of him in the second. You want a parlay piece? Take a look at Gerwin Price and Luke Humphreys over 7.5. Every single match in the Premier League for Price has gone over this, and Humphreys is 7-1 to the over. So you want a parlay piece with this one, you go ahead and add the Humphreys over 7.5 with Van Gerwen. But I think Van Gerwen gets out of the first round with Cross. And we had a question about Bunting going over his average. I would stay away from Bunting's average. He went over his average last week, but it's kind of lucky. He didn't have a lot of checkout situations. I think he has a lot more. I think he goes over, but it's a stay away for me in that one.
Well, 2 ranked teams. Auburn ranked number 1. And to think how strong Auburn is, you look at their record. They're coming in at 25-2. Their 2 losses to Duke and Florida. Those are teams that have Ken Palm top 10 offense and top 10 defensive rankings. Again, Auburn clearly is the best team in my mind at this point. They started off 10-2 against the spread, but down the stretch, they've only gone 6-9 against the spread and 2-6 ATS at home. Remember, when you're that SEC team and you're the number 1 team in the country, you always have that bullseye on your back, and it's showing. You're laying the inflated numbers if you're backing the Tigers, and those dogs have done well covering. Ole Miss is also a team that started off hot, going 14-5. You know, they played a weaker non-conference schedule, though. Auburn played a top 20 non-conference schedule. Mississippi only played a 204 schedule. So for them to go 14-5 against that weak foes, it does show some of their weaknesses. They are 2-7 ATS their last 9 games. But when I look at Ole Miss, Prez, they had covered 6 straight as a dog of 2 or more. They're a team that plays solid defense. Their offense can go up and down into their 3-point shooting, can get hot and cold, but they play solid defense. So when they're a dog of 2 or more, they're 6-2 the last 8. But I do want to mention that they lost the last 2 games, including losing to this Auburn team on February 1st by 10 points as a 4.5-point home dog. When I look at Ole Miss, when they are playing a good offensive team, they're 11-8 ATS full game. Not a bad number against an elite offense. But how about this? In the first half, they get off to a very slow start. They focus their energy on defense. It takes up some of their offensive prowess. They're only 4-15 against the spread against those good shooting teams, averaging 45% or better. I look at Auburn. When Auburn's playing a team with an upper tempo of a total of 147 or more, Ole Miss plays to an offensive tempo of 89. So they're in the top third of the fastest paced teams with the ball. But when Auburn has a high total of 47 or higher, they're 12-5 against the spread and 11-6 over under. Compared to when they have a low total, they're only 1-6 against the spread and 0-4 in SEC action. Now, I am going to go Auburn first half in this best bet. You're having to lay the 7.5. That's a very fair price because the full game is 13.5. You're usually laying about 55% in the first half. I'm happy with that minus 7.5 in the first half because Saturday, Auburn has to go on the road to Kentucky. So that's a big look ahead spot. So we'll grab Auburn early. I lean Ole Miss full game and Prez 2 database situations just to share. Number 1 team at home ranked, only 3-9 the last 5 years, 25% against the spread. and a number one team as a home favorite of 8 or more later in the season from game 24 and on, only 8, 17 and 1, 32%. So both of those number one AP situations says fade Auburn. I'll back them the first half and fade them full game.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. Ralph, before we get into NBA, let's talk about our college basketball special that we have going today. We have a end of the season special. You buy anyone's college basketball now till the end of the year, and there's still a lot of college hoops to go. It's only $199. That's under $5 a day. This is an outstanding deal. Do not use this package on me, please. I'm begging you. I don't want the pressure. My college basketball has been horrible. I lost again last night by half a point with a guy on the free throw line in Cincinnati. Missed the free throw. I lose the game. Do not buy my college basketball. Ralph, whose college basketball should they buy?
Well, I mean, right now at the site, no one's hotter than Ben Burns. I've had a very poor college basketball run the last few weeks, but, just like the bowls in college football, the conference tournaments and March Madness are a reset. It really doesn't matter how good you've done in the regular season because things are so different. And Prez, just to show you some of the value in the rest of college basketball for $199, Selection Sunday is March 16th. The price scheduled for that Monday to get the rest of college basketball is $149. So you will get the first 16 days of March and the last few days of February, basically for just $50, a great value. Anyone at WagerTalk that does college basketball the rest of the season through the national championship, just $199. How about if I told you I have the last time the Detroit Pistons have won 8 in a row? That was 2008. So
I was wrong. Yeah, it was the century.
I will say this, Johnny, Detroit, and all the girls in the office, the Lions, as good as they are, the Tigers going to be the leader in MLB. The Pistons playing like they are. The Red Wings perhaps making the playoffs. This is the year of Detroit, man. It's exciting being up there. And, Prez, I think that has a lot to do with this game. I really like this Pistons team of late. Cunningham has turned into a complete stud. And if you looked at just body of work the last 10 or 15 days, I think this game should basically be a pick'em. Now, you beat me yesterday head-to-head, Prez, because I was actually on Boston as my $5 play in the NBA. And unfortunately, like we see in the NBA, they decided just to rest Drew Holiday before the game without even announcing it. And then they sat Porzingis as well because they said they're a big favorite. There's no reason to get him. They'd rather have him play against the Pistons. So one of those injury situations you have to live with in the NBA. Boston with no rest this year is 5-8 against the spread. When Detroit has faced a team with no rest, they have covered 5 straight games, covering those games by 8.4 points per game. When I look at Detroit as a home dog of 3 or more, a perfect 6-0, they're covering those games by 11 points per game. When I look at Detroit at home against teams with a winning record, 9-2 against the spread. When I look at Detroit at home against teams with an excellent record of 60% or higher, they're 3-0. They failed to beat Boston, but they were getting 12.5 points. They only lost by 8. They beat the Lakers as a 7-point dog, and they covered against the Cavs. And think about this sample size, Press. Since 1996, this has only happened 17 times. Both teams are on a win streak of 5 or more games. Both teams have a record over 500. We're after the first 9 games of the season, so you don't have a 1-0 record. And you're a home dog like the Pistons are. Those teams, home dog, both teams winning records, both teams on 5-game win streaks, 11-5-1, 69%. And again, that goes all the way back to 1996. I look at the Celtics, and the one thing that jumps out to me is their last 5 games, they have not reached 50% shooting. They're a team that regularly hits 50%. And 3 of those games, 45, 46, and 47%. I think Detroit wins this game, covers the game for sure. But hey, in honor of VR, I'm going to say if you're going to play it, sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well and play those Pistons plus the 145.
Ralph Michaels, awesome stuff, my brother. What do you got going for the clients?
Well, as I said, it's a great time. While the college basketball special is great, right now, I still think the 30-day special has the most value. 30 days, under $10 a day, every sport. I'm doing NBA, college basketball, and NHL. I have a college basketball and NHL play loaded for tonight. Check it out, wt.buzz/RM, and follow me at Twitter at CalSportsLV.
There we go, Ralph Michaels, everyone.
Let me get to some NBA real quick because I did see some NBA. Here, I'll give you a prop real quick. Atlanta, Miami Heat, Kel'el Ware under a half of 3-pointers. So, making 3-pointer under half at plus 120 or better. So that's under half plus 120 or better. And then another prop for you prop fans out there. We're going to go with another 3-pointer over in Toronto, Indiana, over 1.5. Pascal Siakam, Siakam, over 1.5 3-point field goals, plus 145 or better. So there's 2 props for you. I got a handful. I'll give you one more. Why not? Spurs Houston, Jeremy Sochan, Sochan, over 8.5 total points, good to minus 150. So they like him to score 9 points or better. I got a bunch, but let's get to college basketball. That's where we're getting really, really hot. 705 Citadel plus 16, 685 South Florida plus 2.5, 734 under 162.5 Kentucky, Oklahoma, 727 Penn State plus the 6.5. What else can I give you? 731 over 149.5 Bradley Valpo, 729 over 152.5 Utah, Arizona. Give you an extra game or two. 306-570 under 147 Radford Gardner Webb, and then 306-566 under 147.5 Bellarmine, Florida Gulf Coast. Another side for you, 699 NC State plus 1.5, 678 Maryland minus 3.5. Like I said, we've bet probably 30 plus moves already. I talked about it in the steam room, talked about it on here. I hooked back up with one of the best groups I ever worked with that I haven't had access to them over the last 4 or 5 years. And this guy's like a point man, 4 different groups, and they're giving me different markets. So it's just amazing. My goal has been narrowed down so the average person could get sharp info and actually use it. And my subscribers been averaging about 5-6 bets per night. Again, some days it maybe only be 2 or 3, but then Saturday, because of MMA, it's a little more, but we're averaging around there. So if you're betting multiple markets, it's really not a lot of volume. If you're doing NBA, college basketball, and UFC all on the same day, even if you have 3 picks per, you're going to have 9 plays on the board. But then on the other days where I just have NBA and college basketball, I may only have 3 max. So it averages out.
There we go. Gianni the Greek, everyone. What a great segment. Anything else, dude?
I fired the second 4% for UFC this week. There's 2 4% already in the system. Couple 4% coming in college buckets tonight as well. Excited for the weekend. And please, if you're a long-term subscriber, email them. The first 3 will be there for next Monday's beta, the final run-through. And then it's on, brother. I want you to join us for that seminar, Prez. If you can't watch it live, at least take some time and watch the tape. You'll have 100%.
Access. 100% I will, my brother. Of course.